Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Semi-Soccer Experts podcast, also known as the
C podcast.
Adrian, what episode are we on today?
We are on number 37, mate.
37. Wow, it's been 37 episodes. All right. 37. I can't think of anything special about 37. I can say that 3 plus 7 is 10, and 10 is the most important number on the soccer field because it's your creative midfielder. It's your best player. It's your number 10. La pelota siempre al 10. Speaking of 10s, we're just going to jump right into it. The biggest news to grace the game of football. Lionel Messi is rumored to leave Football Club Barcelona.
Yes. So this, if you've been living under a rock, has been the biggest news in the soccer world for the past week. It's been reports saying that Messi wants to leave Barcelona. And, you know, as you can tell from the Champions League semifinals against Bayern Munich, they were pretty much upset at the way things ended. And you can understand, like, Barca's, you know, they always expected to go to the finals. And, like, especially when you have star power like Messi, Suarez, Griezmann, that front three alone should win you titles. But, you know, unfortunately, it hasn't really picked up for them. And with that being said, Messi's been getting frustrated, especially at the regime up top. I know he has a beef for Bartolomeu, so I think that's just been ongoing. And I think that's, you know, after the Champions League, after losing the Champions League against Bayern Munich, especially got their ass was whooped. I think that's what broke the camel's back. The straw that broke the camel's back. There you go. So I think Messi is just eventually was like fed up. And, you know, he has a great relationship with Pep Guardiola and Manchester City. They really will fucking cash in on Messi. So I can imagine they have had talks already saying, what if you joined us? You know, we'll build a team around you, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's something Messi is, because I feel like he's at the point in his career that he wants to do like a last ride with Pep before he retires or like eventually goes to MLS.
Right. You know, just to recap what you said, there's a lot of moving parts to this latest saga, but I think the biggest thing is that the club, the players, the fans, Messi, they feel like this is all, you know, the sporting director's fault. And a really interesting thing that a lot of the ultras of Barcelona said is that Bartomeu will leave in a body bag before Messi leaves the Camp Nou. So we can see a lot of hatred and a lot of finger pointing, and I think it's rightfully so that Bartomeu has kind of destroyed the club. The previous sporting director is the one who kind of orchestrated that greatness with Pep Guardiola and the treble win, the 6 cup winning team.
Sextuple, I think.
Sextuple, right. He's the one who helped organize that team. And, you know, I'll play devil's advocate and say it's very hard to follow the sextuple, but, you know, a lot of things have been falling through. You mentioned Griezmann. They spent a ludicrous amount of money on Griezmann and he was supposed to guarantee him goals, and I don't think he even reached the double digits in La Liga season, you know, in goals scored. So that's a fail on its own. Look at Coutinho, who they spent an enormous fee, and they end up loaning him out to Bayern Munich, and then he's the one who put the final nails in the coffin in the 8-2.
Yep.
That's from a footballing perspective, you know. And now Bartolomeu, the latest news of this morning was he's actually been charged by the Catalan police of corruption. You know, so it goes way beyond just the product on the field and, you know, behind the scenes. And, you know, there's a lot of things. I think we already talked about, like the Barcelona, the transfer ban, about them signing underage players and whatnot. So there's a lot of things that this guy is accused for that has done to ruin the image of the club. And now that Messi, arguably the greatest player to ever play the game, to ever live, the greatest player for the actual club, what is now, you know, they always say, and I'm going on a rant here, but they say that Messi club, that it's bigger than the club. I'd want to say that, yes, obviously Barcelona is more bigger than the club, more bigger than anyone, the individual person. But FC Barcelona will always be, linked to Lionel Messi and his greatness.
Yeah. I
So
think with Messi and everybody else that was part of that golden generation for Spain really elevated Barcelona to where they are, and I don't see like why anybody can defute that. Their name is in the record books. I don't think no other team will pretty much accomplish what they have. Essentially, they've won pretty since Messi's been there. They won 4 Champions Leagues. 4 Champions Leagues.
yes,
Six,
yes, Messi has
09, 11, and 15.
yes,
Sadly,
yes.
they beat Manchester United in 2009, 2011. But that being said, they've accomplished as much as it pains me to say they accomplished a lot and winning all those titles. And you can only go so high, and then once it starts crumbling down, it's not all that good. I don't know if you've watched The Last Dance, but it's pretty much like comparing it to Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Like right after the Bulls won like their last ring, the Bulls never been the same after that dynasty, crumbled.
Right, of course. I mean, it's always going to be hard to follow dynasty. And as someone who's currently wearing a Real Madrid jersey, it's very, you could argue that, especially that sextuplet team.
Yeah.
I've never seen, a team as dominant in a single match as Barcelona consistently was. We might go into a little bit of tactics here, but they always had the ball. When you played against FC Barcelona, they struck fear into you.
They honestly, the tactics, they redefined football like in the early 2010s with total. It was pretty much total football, possession based, keeping the ball, one touch pass, keep and go, give and go, all of that. And as many people would say, it's basically how football is supposed to be played. And I get it because you're passing the ball amongst your teammates. You're trying to find the best pass and then trying to find the best angle or area to shoot the ball to the goal. And that's pretty much that was the fundamentals of Barcelona and the way they play. They revitalized the midfield, and I believe they really changed the dynamic of what football is nowadays. And it took a long while for teams to actually start being Barcelona too. Because that run from 09 all the way to like I would even say 13, 14 before they won with Neymar, they were really a tough team to beat. And if you were able to beat them, people consider you lucky, other than like being Bayern Munich. But Bayern Munich's just Bayern Munich. So
No, of course, they redefine the game. A lot of people, they take after players, want to be like the players. Even from a coaching standpoint, we take, as a coach, I take a lot from them. A lot of other coaches take a lot from them from that style. So Barcelona is a cultural icon. I think not just in world sports, but in the world in general. If you don't know soccer, fine, but you know who Barcelona is, you know who Lionel Messi is, and that you just know. So again, just to tie everything back, Lionel Messi is leaving this club is just mind-boggling. And you said earlier that the news of him leaving is the most trending topic world football ever. It's the most talked about thing ever. And I'm not, again, as someone who's wearing a Real Madrid jersey, I get that. That's not out of pocket, out of the news. You have once again, arguably the greatest player in the world leaving the one and only team he's ever played for. That's going to get headlines. That's going to get people. That's going to get trends. That's going to get everything. And I think this is more headlines than when Cristiano went to Juventus.
100%.
I remember Cristiano went from Man U to Real Madrid, and even that was a buzz. But that was just at the cusp.
That was pre-Twitter, though, before social media blew up.
Right, that was the pre-cusp of social media before everyone had Twitter in their hands, before everyone had smartphones. So we don't know. I do remember watching Cristiano's presentation in the Bernabeu on ESPN. But let's talk about the numbers. The rumor has it, and this was of yesterday, that Messi would be going to Manchester City, a Puma sponsored a team. Lionel Messi is an Adidas sponsored team. And if you know anything a little bit about the history of Puma and Adidas, they were once the same company that split.
Yep.
You know, obviously Adidas and Nike are more in direct competition with Puma, but historically, Adidas and Puma are more the better rivals. It even has a lot to tie in with the Bayern Munich and Dortmund rivalry. So it's going to be a very interesting thing to see how Adidas feels towards Messi wearing the Puma emblem when he plays for Manchester City.
I don't think it'll really matter to them because he's still their flagship player on the soccer spectrum.
No, of
And
course, but there's going to be.
I was saying Barca, he's wearing Nike, so it's like, yeah.
That's the thing. When Nike, when Messi, well, that Messi was first sponsored by Nike in the beginning. Yeah, Nike sponsorship back when he first came out. He wore Nike Tempos as well. Especially when he was 16. Well, the reason for that is because that's the only club he's ever been in. That just happened.
That's what I'm saying. It probably makes sense because he's been in Barcelona his whole life, and Barca and Nike have always had a relationship. So
right. So we're gonna see very. I think that's gonna be a very interesting dynamic. Because there's definitely going to be cross promotional problems.
Yeah.
Adidas is going to maybe try to use some game footage of him. Not going to happen because I know Adidas heavily uses game footage when he plays from Argentina. So again, very interesting dynamic. I'm willing to see. Now let's go into a little bit of the contract, and I know you heard about this, and I hate this rumor. I genuinely hate this rumor because it's a stupid rumor and it's just a whole bunch of fanboys talking about it. But I think, unfortunately, it's important to mention, and I know you know where I'm going with this. But if Messi signs with Man City, rumor has he's going to play with NYCFC.
Oh, Joe.
I hate the rumor.
And it's funny. All the MLS fanboys, they're like, "Oh my God, we're gonna see Messi." Not just MLS, but NYCFC fanboys. They're like, "Oh my God, we're gonna get Messi. He's gonna come to New York, etc., etc." Like, one, you guys don't even have a stadium. And two, it's not even inconclusive writing that Messi's even gonna go to Manchester City because the facts are he has a release clause of 700 million euros, 700 or 750, right around that region, regardless. I know City has that. They have that much money, but can they really afford that in this transfer? Especially since they just got out of a potential transfer ban. You think they could get away with that?
You hit the nail right there.
And granted, if that transfer ban was effect, this rumor would not be going around.
So I'm gonna ask you right now. You want to take? We want to talk about the transfer money, or you want to talk about the stadium first?
Well, we'll talk about the stadium next. But okay, the transfer money.
The transfer money. We covered it maybe was it 2-3 episodes prior to this? We covered about Man City's transfer ban about potentially breaching financial fair play, and lucky for them, the Court of Arbitration of Sport found them innocent.
Actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't a transfer ban. I don't think it was a transfer ban. It was a Champions League ban.
Yes. My fault. Yes, you're correct. It was
it feels like a transfer ban because not many players are gonna go if you're not playing Champions League.
I mean, one or the other, it's gonna kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Transfer ban or Champions League ban, that's tough. That's a tough poison. Pick your poison. It really is at that decision. But yes, Manchester City was just potentially almost reaching financial fair play. They have the money. That's not an issue. Having physical cash up front is not an issue. Now, just to recap of financial fair play, you cannot spend more than you make. That's the rule. That's the quote-unquote rule.
Supposedly.
So if Messi's release clause is $700 million, Manchester City is right now cooking the books to say, hey, we made $700 million in profit. So that's going to be extremely difficult to prove. to do. It's it's a hard sell.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I know that Messi was trying to figure out a way to like find a loophole out of the release clause because he was saying that since COVID happened and that he couldn't exercise the right because there was a deadline by June, because there was, I guess, a stipulation in his contract that he can, has have the option to exercise his transfer release, and he doesn't have to be that high. I
Yeah.
think he can potentially leave him free. But with that,
So
he's going to be stuck for what's being said right now. He'll stay for another year and go for free because pretty much that's when his contract ends.
right. So the thing was at the end of this, under normal circumstances, at the end of the season, which was I think stated to be June 23rd or something,
Yeah.
he had the option to leave for free at the end of the season. He had to exercise that right within that time frame of June 23rd. His argument was because of COVID, the end of the season did not happen.
Yeah.
Till August, whenever their game with Bayern Munich was, so he couldn't exercise that release clause. Barcelona, on the other hand, arguing, well, it's in the fine print that says June 23rd. So I think they were battling it legally, and unfortunately for Messi, Barcelona has a little better lawyers than he does.
Yeah, and I think that works to Barcelona's advantage, as crappy as it may seem. But it is in the fine print, and no, because all this contract stuff was done prior to COVID, Corona, before this even happened. And I think when Messi made his decision, obviously it was past that day because he was fed up. Because you got to think about it, when the league restarted La Liga too, he got frustrated when they lost the league because they were so close to winning it. And then you heard him in the post-game interview. He was frustrated. He's like, if we play like this against Napoli, we're going to get knocked out, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Granted. So I think, and I do feel for Messi, but, you pretty much pigeonholed yourself into this for making the decision at this time. And also, he doesn't really, to be honest, I don't think he has that much of a chance because even if he was to stipulate that rule in his contract, he would have to go to court, probably do an arbitrator, and that takes time. So I think if he even tries to fight it, all the legality and everything, I think it's gonna go past when this transfer window ends, which is in late October, prior to like December or January, because we're still in the middle of a pandemic, so it's not everything is going as quick as it used to be. So I think all in all, Messi is probably going to stay another year this year in Barcelona, but I don't see him resigning. And if that remains the case, he can pretty much go on the free to Manchester City, which literally, if you're a Man City fan, you're probably salivating at the lips because you have a potential to land one of the world's greatest players for free. Fucking insane.
100%. Yeah, so if he and then like you said, the rumor is right now, like I just checked out, he's most likely staying. I think his father, yeah, se queda. Hashtag se queda. His father was mediating with the board, and it looks like 90% chance that he's going to stay at Barcelona for the next season. And again, as someone who's wearing a Real Madrid shirt, Real Madrid would like to play against the best players in the world, and Messi does fall into that category. So I think it's fair to say even Sergio Ramos says that they want him to stay.
Yeah, and I get Ramos's point because you've been battling against Messi and this Barcelona team for literally all your career.
And they don't like each other. They don't like each other.
Well, obviously, but at the same time, that's what builds a great rivalry. You don't like them, but at the same time, you want to beat them.
No,
I think that's what drives them.
I think look at Cristiano and Messi. I think they like each other. I'd say.
Oh, no, it's the rivalry aspect of it. Like you want to one up the other because, like, hey, for bragging rights, like, hey, we were the better team, etc., etc. We got the titles, and I get that, and that's why I get why Ramos said that because he's just like, hey, if Messi stays, I want to still play against one of the world's greatest players, even though Messi's nutmegged him or went by him numerous occasions in games. I think Ramos does enjoy the challenge, and that's what drives him. And I think it's a smart move by Ramos because one, it shows his competitive side, and two, he obviously wants Messi to stay in La Liga, which I get, but at the same time, it is interesting to see if Messi does go to Manchester City. But honestly, I hope not till next season because if I'm Manchester United, I don't want to play Messi this season because one, we're still regrouping,
We
and
built.
I think we need another season just to just to have an idea of who we are.
Right. I think, and speaking about Sergio Ramos and his comments, you're right. It is a great move. Even La Liga actually came out and said that Barcelona is in the right, and
They're supporting. Of course, La Liga wants to support them.
And we're talking about an organization. We're not talking about an individual team. It's in La Liga's 100% interest
100.
that they keep Messi.
Yeah, because that's where the money is.
That's where the money is, right? How can you guys? If Messi leaves, I guarantee you the networks will try to, renegotiate contracts and say, hey, we're going to pay you a little less because before you had Cristiano, now he's gone, and now Messi's leaving too.
It's literally like it's like the straw that breaks the camel back, as I said earlier.
And it's going to be very difficult because let's say Messi does go to Man City. The casual fan is not tied to Barcelona. It's not tied to Real Madrid. And it's definitely not tied to the rest of the other teams in the league.
Yeah.
They're going to switch over to the Premier League. The eyeballs, again, we've mentioned this before, the eyeballs switch over. Less money. It's just easy math. So, yes, I think I wasn't surprised, but, La Liga saying to keep Messi, that makes a lot of sense. I want to hit on the stadium. I want to talk about the stadium real quick. The NYCFC Stadium. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, that Messi does go to Manchester City, and there is that clause that at the end of the 3 years, he goes play 2 years at NYCFC. One of the greatest players in the world is not going to play at Yankee Stadium.
Hell no.
Not. Manchester City as an organization, the City Football Group as an organization, has the money to build a world-class stadium in New York City. Yeah. What people need to understand, this is not a financial issue. This has always been an issue with city politics. There's land. There is no approved land by the city to build a soccer stadium, a football stadium. The only approved land was Willets Point. And because Man City decided to venture out with the Yankees to build NYCFC, the Mets Stadium, and I think the Mets organization and what's the name of the family that owns them?
Wilpons.
We're not going to rent you our parking lot. You think the Wilpons would have openly said, yeah, let's build New York Yankees #2 in our backyard? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That was not going to happen. So for our MLS friends and fans and diehard peoples, it is a question of city politics. And I guarantee and I promise you, because of this pandemic, the idea of a stadium is knocked down all the way down.
Yep, down the totem pole.
Right.
Who knows when they'll actually be playing with fans again? I know certain MLS cities, but at the same time, the Yankees are not going to let NYCFC play them. It's too much going on with the soccer and too many people going in and out. They're comfortable enough to just have their team just playing there. So they're like, screw you, and that's why NYCFC is playing at Red Bulls.
That's what I was going to say. And again, also it's another question of the Yankees. The Yankees, as an organization, have no care or interest who Lionel Messi is. I think they really, okay, he's great. He plays soccer. Fantastic. The New York Yankees are our priority. The baseball team is our priority.
Yeah, and also I think they probably do care about the whole Messi scenario, but I think they just want to make sure they do a they want to make sure he actually comes to the city before they might start doing the development and everything. I think if Messi does come to NYCFC, it will probably prioritize their potential development for a new stadium.
I mean, the Yankees, sure, but not the city of New York. I don't think.
I think money talks,
Oh, of
and
course, money talks. Of course, money.
that's what I'm saying. I think with that, and I think they don't even because one, if they really want to build a stadium, they will obviously have to do it privately, their own money. And
No,
I think there can be a deal with City and the Yankees where they build their own soccer specific stadium.
no, right, Adrian, right. But the issue is not the money. The issue has never been the money. They have money.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is the city politics.
Oh yeah.
If you're talking about,
I'm saying, how hard is it to to convince some greaseball senator or politician in the city to get to do something for you?
well, it's been pretty difficult because
I'm saying it hasn't been prioritized. That's my thing. I'm telling you, when you talk about naming Messi, that brings more money signs, and I think that brings them more revenue. I think that's the whole point of them investing and giving them like, hey, we actually might go forward with this.
I mean, I don't know.
That's my opinion, though. That's what.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't see, at least from my understanding, when they were going to build, when they had a proposed site in Grand Concourse in the Bronx Community Board shut that down like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I used to work in the South Bronx, and investment into that community, even if they weren't going to bribe, if they said, hey, we're going to invest in the community, they would have said yes, because that community does need some funds.
No, I get you. That's what I'm saying. It just depends, and who knows? Who knows? Even if Messi does go to Man City, he may even go to Inter.
So that's. I mean, if we'll recap really quick, but his father was in Milan. His father bought an apartment in Milan.
I'm gonna say he was on a holiday.
No, he bought an apartment in Milan, and the Sunni group that owns Inter Milan, the Chinese, they were actually prioritizing this. They had Javier Zanetti go personally speak and talk to Messi about it, and unfortunately, Zanetti's been very quiet. He has said no word. He has said nothing about this. The Chinese have money. I don't think they have the same amount of money in Manchester City, but they have money. I think Conte's a good coach. And here's another thing, and a lot of people don't think about this. Antonella, Messi's wife, is she going to want to live in Paris? Is she going to want to live in Milan? Or is she going to want to live in Manchester?
Yeah.
That's a legitimate question.
And his kids too,
The kids, right. If you're talking about going from Barcelona to Manchester, that's a huge difference. Going from Barcelona to Milan or going to Barcelona to Paris, which are Latin-based cultures.
Yeah.
Not the same, but some similarities. And then you go to Manchester, which is more Germanic culture, English culture. It's very different.
I could specifically tell, especially when we landed Di Maria, he hated living out there in Manchester.
Hated it.
So that's why it can be like some negative aspects to it.
And his wife came out, I think it was last year, said that she hated the people and the food was disgusting. That's what she said.
Yeah.
So, and they're both Argentinian. I'm sure Messi has spoken to Di Maria. I'm sure Messi has spoken to Aguero to see what the life in Manchester is.
Yeah.
But that's a different story because again, you have Carlos Tevez who lived out there. You have and you have Aguero who's lived out there, and there's plenty of Argentines that played in England, in Manchester, in Liverpool. So he's definitely can get a good opinion. I think if it doesn't come down to money, his wife's going to have a huge impact. I don't think it's going to be 100% impact, but she's going to have a huge opinion on where he goes. If he doesn't go to Manchester, I do see a strong connection with PSG, just because he's willing to link up with Neymar, and PSG can pay the amount of money.
That's true. And there's always going to be the rumors. Even your boys at Juventus they were rumored to even like go for him as
Right.
well.
The
So
soccer world would love to see Ronaldo and Messi wear the same shirt. Um, I see that as the least of the options. I see him going more to Inter before he goes to Juve, and just not money wise, but Inter has always had more Argentine players. There's been more of a connection with Inter to Argentina than Juve or even AC Milan. Again, you have Javier Zanetti, who may not have been the greatest player for Argentina, but are 100% one of the most respected individuals and just a world-class gentleman. Uh, so that says something. You have Steven Cambiaso, you have Diego Milito, who helped win the treble. You have Walter Samuel. You had a host of other Argentines that played for Inter, who made great names. And I'm not making this up. I did read somewhere that Messi admired Inter when he was a child.
yeah, I heard about that as well. I heard he
So
was
it's not
pretty
it's
big
not
Inter
far
fan growing up.
fetched, but the priority looks like it is Man City. So
Yeah. And another rumor I actually heard about too. I think we're just gonna end this episode about Messi, but regardless, another rumor I did hear was that um, back in Argentina, they were doing like parades and shit like that. Once they heard the news, they're like Messi, especially as the club he broke through with,
who else?
Wells Old Boys. He was like Messi, Messi. They were all like on the fucking streets, they're like chanting his name, saying come back to Argentina, come back to your roots. I was like, hey, that is something. And that's the funny thing I do see, like, a lot of MLS fanboys saying, hey, he's gonna come to us. Like, I doubt it. I think he'd rather just go back to Argentina if they don't shit all over him the next World Cup. In regards to him, about him, doing a final dance in his country, especially for the first club he broke into as well.
I think Messi's not enticed by the money. I don't think he has enough money in the world. Another interesting point is MLS has a salary cap.
Yeah.
That's
I ain't gonna match that.
the franchise. I'm sure MLS will break the rules for Messi, but as the current rule stands, they can't pay him a shit ton of money either.
Yeah. So
I think it's more probable for him to go to Newell's. I think it's more probable for Man City to buy Newell's just so he can go back before he goes to NYCFC.
yeah, I totally agree.
All right.
So
So
we'll see how it goes.
I think this was a very Messi-esque show. It's too much Messi for a man wearing a Real Madrid jersey, but it is the news of the day. It's the
Yes.
biggest news of the world. We are all involved, heads wrapped around arguably the greatest player leaving his hometown club. Oh, long-time club, not his hometown, but long-time.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I predict that Messi. Well, obviously, it's pretty much saying concrete that he's going to stay for another year.
90%. That was the
But I
latest.
do think he's going to leave. So, we'll just see.
All right. Well, guys, thank you very much for listening. Please enjoy the Messi show.
Yes.
It was a good. I think it was a productive show.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one.